The dead speak. EA have just confirmed that they are working on not one, not two, but 3 new Star Wars games, and all 3 games spreading across additional genres. With Respawn Entertainment, the same studio behind the first Jedi Fallen Order and games like Titanfall being the studio that's going to be behind all 3 games. They're overseeing all 3 of them. EA have literally looked at those under their umbrella, noticed that Respawn were the best of the bunch of recent years for Star Wars games and just gone all in on them. Which I am actually very happy with. Respawn very rarely miss, whereas DICE have been missing a lot lately, so this is great news. Now the 3 games in question, the first being the one we all knew about anyway, it's just in concrete now, the Jedi Fallen Order sequel. They are confirming to be working on the next entry in the Jedi series, but we all knew that already. But here is the stuff that we didn't know. The second game under EA is going to be a strategy title, and the third will be a first-person shooter. And I know that that last one has a lot of people excited. It's one thing this genre really does need. Now before we dive into the details of it all, drop a like on this video if you are hyped, and subscribe to the channel if you are new, as we'll be covering this and all other things Star Wars games along the way. But now let's dive into the details. Now this information is brand new, so there will be a lot of reciting articles in the announcement as I'm still learning about things too, so apologies, but there is a ton here that is really exciting stuff. Now earlier today, industry insider Jeff Grubb did mention that we should expect some clarity about future Star Wars games soon, and I didn't think that would be like 7 hours later soon. But some stuff was expected. So the EA Star Wars Twitter account went and dropped the announcement saying that they have 3 Star Wars games in the works at Respawn. And the article explaining things clarifies all the needs to know. So here we go. So this is the basic orientation of what is going on. Game director Stig Asmussen, I think I pronounced that right, and his team at the studio are already working on the next game in the action-adventure Star Wars Jedi series, and are joined by 2 new teams working to deliver additional, unique Star Wars gameplay experiences across multiple genres. Leading the development of Respawn's all-new Star Wars first-person shooter game is Peter Hirschmann, game director at Respawn, who has a long and accomplished history with the Star Wars franchise. The third title is a Star Wars strategy game developed through a production collaboration with the newly formed studio BitReactor, helmed by games industry veteran Greg Forsch. Respawn will produce the new Star Wars strategy game while BitReactor leads on the development of the title. Now apologies if I mispronounced some of those names there, I probably did. So it's all in on Star Wars over at Respawn, like big time. EA have just thrown all their eggs into one basket here. Now as for the first person shooter, which is the one grabbing a lot of people's attention, this is what was said regarding that from Peter Hirschmann. Working with Lucasfilm Games on a new FPS in the Star Wars galaxy is a dream come true for me, as this is a story I have always wanted to tell. Peter previously worked as VP of Development at LucasArts and was executive producer on the original Star Wars Battlefront games. Hirschmann and the team at Respawn have just begun work on the title. Now I've seen a lot of people run with this and say, oh, this means it's a new Battlefront game. I wouldn't say so necessarily. Just because this guy overseeing this game worked on the OG Battlefronts doesn't mean that this is going to be a Battlefront game. This game could be absolutely anything, and as that paragraph said, the game is already in development, but it's only just begun. So that seems to be the story for the 2 new games announced, and the new Jedi game is obviously way further in development, we know this, and according to insiders, could be announced as soon as May. Now I seriously hope that this FPS is going to be a multiplayer shooter. That is the one thing in the long lineup of upcoming Star Wars games that is just missing over the next 5 or so years. There's like no proper multiplayer anything going on. Despite there being over half a dozen games announced and probably more so pushing about 10 at the moment, yet there is still nothing solely multiplayer. So fingers crossed this FPS is going to be some form of multiplayer shooter. Now the timelines for these games got a little bit of clarity from Jason Schreier, who has this to say on Twitter. The Jedi Fallen Order sequel has been in production for a while and should be out this year or next. The shooter and strategy games sound like they're many years away. This type of announcement is often for hiring purposes, particularly essential now during the Great Resignation. Now as Jason went on to say in another tweet, this is all in addition to games like Apex Legends. I don't know how Respawn are taking on this much. I really hope this doesn't turn into a demanding mess for developers and then half-assed games get churned out because higher-ups bit off more than they could chew. Almost every single game that comes out these days is rushed and developers have been overworked, so I hope that doesn't end up happening here, but we'll just have to wait and see. But now, I have to talk about Battlefront 3, as for some reason it's almost as much of a talking point surrounding this announcement than the actual announcement itself. Jeff Grubb, well-renowned industry insider, has commented on this as well. The entire thread for EA's announcement is flooded with Battlefront 3 comments, despite this being a really good announcement. Normally that is standard practice when EA mention something that literally no one cares about, but this is something people actually care about, yet the comment section is still flooded with Battlefront 3 comments. And given the nature of this announcement, it just looks like we're never going to get a Battlefront 3 from EA. This all but confirms to me that EA are completely done with the Battlefront franchise for good. This is the final nail in the coffin from EA. And it's going to be up to someone else when the license opens up to take the reins, and I think that's exactly what is going to happen. This announcement partly doesn't make much sense to me, and clearly a lot of people have actually picked up on this, and it's that EA knocked back Battlefront 3 because of licensing costs, but greenlit 3 other games using the same IP. It doesn't make any sense at all, and clearly doesn't make any sense to most people. That's like saying you don't want an apple and then just going out and buying an apple. Terrible analogy, I know, but it's 3 AM at the moment, so just let me have it. But you get my drift. It doesn't make any sense, like at all. There is no logic rejecting a Star Wars game because of licensing costs and then saying yes to 3 other Star Wars games. I don't know. From an outside perspective, it just seems really, really dumb. But apart from that, 3 brand new Star Wars games are coming from Respawn Entertainment. The next Jedi game, which we should expect a reveal from in the coming months. A strategy game that has just gone into development and they're still hiring, and a first-person shooter in the same situation. So it's clear that EA do want to be a part of the new boom of Star Wars games in the next few years. I mean, they could have been at the forefront of the boom if they just let Battlefront 3 happen, but they're going to have to settle for a small part whilst other publishers take the spotlight, but that is the hole that they've dug for themselves. But apart from that aspect of things, EA today, they done good. This is a good announcement. Good transparency for future Star Wars games, and I can't wait to see what they've got in store for us. So guys, time to turn it over to you. What do you think of this announcement? What games are you most excited for? And what do you hope comes of that Star Wars first-person shooter? I am very, very interested to see what that ends up being. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Lots of exciting stuff to take with this announcement, along with the usual frustration for Battlefront fans, but we're kind of used to it by now. But today, overall, is a good day and the future is looking good. So guys, if you want to be kept up to date on all things Star Wars games, things are going to be ramping up real soon. So make sure you subscribe, notifications on so you don't miss a thing. And of course, drop a like on this video if you did enjoy it, and I'll catch you all in the next one.